Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of Sisters with a Purpose. I'm your girl, Leash.
And I'm Bree.
And this is our July episode. Again, we are at home, comfortable. Bree's not in the car this time, thank goodness. But as you can see, we always gonna bring y'all some content and make it work. Before we get into today's episode, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe button so you can stay up to date when we are posting content and also when we are posting shorts, because Bree found a little plug and we've been able to post some short videos, and you know, everybody's attention span these days, it got to be under a minute for y'all to listen. So
I didn't look at anything.
Right. So I'm glad
I'm drowning my Facebook friends right now. They seeing so much content.
Right. But it's good though. I mean, short and sweet. I know even at my job we call it micro learning. That's just the new day and age. But before we get into the purpose of our episode, because you know you're always gonna get a little bit of sports from me, and then from Bree, you're always gonna get something as far as health. Any questions that y'all have, y'all can always send them in to us. But before we get started, I did want to just mention what's been going on in the Hill Country here in Texas, the floods. So Bree, did you want to kind of talk a little bit more about that? Because up here, my coworkers, they texting me and asking me, you know, are you I'm like, no, Dallas is nowhere near, Mansfield area is nowhere near the Hill Country. We've been getting a little bit of rain, but if it's just enough to make the grass grow for the yard man to come and have to cut it again. But the Hill Country, Bree, you're more near the Hill Country, right?
Yeah, we're like an hour out. So it kind of feels like home, of course. You know, people go out to Kerrville all the time to do stuff. Fredericksburg is another popular area. You'll hear a lot of people from San Antonio travel to. They have the wineries and stuff up there. First off, obviously, my condolences to everybody that was directly affected or not directly affected. Y'all have to think about, you know, the first responders, people going out there volunteering, the stuff that they're seeing that will stick with them forever, right? So definitely want to give my prayers to everybody that has helped, been involved, those that lost people, those that were able to survive the flood. For me, I try not to dip too deep into a lot of the news media with it. For me, It hit a little bit too close to home. Y'all have heard me talk about it before. Chris and I almost lost our son in 2018. The thought of losing a child is emotional versus a lot of people were lost, and especially kids were lost. So for me, it was just kind of a trigger. I would kind of check in. It was good to kind of see those stories where either people made it out or they were finding family members, and people had that piece of being able to, you know, bury their loved ones. You know, it was a lot of situations where it was like mom, dad's kids, and they'd find dad, then they'd find, you know, another sibling. So I just couldn't. I couldn't read on it every single day. I couldn't watch the news on it every single day. It was too much for me.
Right. And it's tragic because it was 4th of July weekend. So it wasn't just people, the residents who live there. Obviously, 4th of July, it's the summer. That's when some people take their summer trips. So it was people there just visiting. And like you said, we went to Fredericksburg. We had a little girls' winery out there, and it is beautiful. So I could just imagine, you know, not thinking, you know, not checking the weather because it's July, it's Texas, it's the heat. We didn't think, you know, people probably didn't think, oh, it's gonna rain, and if anything, it's gonna flood the way that it did
in 45 minutes. No,
exactly. Right. So yeah, no, our thoughts and prayers goes out to, you know, the Hill Country and families and people that were affected. I also saw in, I believe it was New Mexico, there was another flood. I think it was in, yes. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. The weather and everything right now, it is just, it's a little out of character, we're gonna say.
Mhm.
I think there's a tropical storm or something about to hit Louisiana. And then even in New York, I saw on the news that they're flooded. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, where is all this rain? Where is all this coming from? So,
Look, I think a lot of it goes back to they've been warning us for years, these climate changes, this pollution, and I think part of our new administration has pulled out of a lot of those roundtable talks. Doesn't want to really be in the room to talk about them. Has cut funding and stuff on that. So you know, all you can do is tell thy neighbor, pray. You know, you gotta at this point in time be your own protection, your own eyes and ears, and that's it. I don't think that this is the last that we're gonna see. It seems like Texas has taken a pretty big hit. Just last like a month previously, we lost like 19 people here in San Antonio. Same thing, flooding.
mhm.
35 over there off that Parambattle area. It was like 13 cars or something like that. Crazy. They got swept off the road. A lot of people were lost in. So it's affecting a lot of places in Texas, and it's really sad.
Yeah. So again, I know our channel is to, just bring awareness because we do have a lot of viewers and we both live in Texas. So we weren't directly impacted by it, but I personally, I don't know anyone that was directly impacted. I have a coworker who she lives in Fredericksburg. She took off some time to go down and just help and donate. There's a lot of businesses here that are donating. I think Texas Roadhouse. I know HEB is already down there. HEB is one of the Texas grocery stores that we have. If anybody's gonna be at an event when it's tragedy, HEB gonna be there.
HB was like there like the next day. I'm like, y'all must have called y'all operation team immediately, expeditiously, as Ti would say. But
Yeah.
it's amazing to at least see, man, the response of the community surrounding counties and cities, and just people who just was like, man, I got to do something. I mean, we had a couple of people in our neighborhood that put stuff together.
Okay.
A couple of neighbors that have businesses like out in Divine that was like, we're closing for the day. We're gonna, take stuff out that way. They have restaurants and stuff. So it's amazing to see how we can pull together, unfortunately, in a sad situation, but be there for people. But like I said, I could only take listening to it so much. And,
Yeah, no, same. As soon as I heard about the flooding and the weather, and I'm just like, okay, it's flooding. But then when you hear that it impacted like a girls' camp, and then I think it was an RV area, you're just like, okay, I'm the same like you. Let me, you just kind of change the channel, and you're like, okay, you're just kind of keeping up with it, but not doing a deep dive. Just like some people, and I'm not too sure where that came from. I don't know how your Facebook feed was, but mine seemed like everybody just wanted to be the first to like repost or reshare or update. I'm like, that's not your business to share or to repost, especially when it came to somebody's child. Because I couldn't explain that. But if I'm scrolling and I see somebody has reshared my child is missing or something, I was just like, no, it's a time and a place for everything. So yeah, I didn't appreciate that. But again, we just want to make sure that we did kind of reference that. As we transition into our next topic, which will be the sports from me. Even though it is July, like I said last episode, I kind of been finding myself watching a little bit of everything. Me and husband was watching tennis the other day. I'm talking about up at 8:30 in the morning watching the tennis championships. It's been interesting. I think the baseball like derby was on the other day when we was at 54th Street. We was watching that. Yeah, let's just say I'm ready for something for sports in the NFL and college to
She
come
ready
back
for
on.
football.
Yeah, because it's been a little boring. Love Island's done, so I was watching that. I never watched a season of it, but we watched it this. The only reason I watched it was because Ace was on there. He's like a dancer, and he be dancing with like different people online and stuff. And
Okay.
he did dance with kids with like autism and kids that were deaf and stuff. So that's what kind of really triggered me to the show. I didn't really know what the show was about, but he announced that he was going to be on it. So I was like, oh, okay, let me see. And then, Lord have mercy, what did I get myself into? But back to the sports part. I didn't realize that the WNBA had an All-Star weekend, and that's a shame on me if they've been doing it for the longest because I played college basketball, so I should have known. But yeah, so the WNBA All-Star is this weekend. The skills challenge and everything starts this Friday, which I think is like the 18th. The All-Star game is on Saturday. Both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese will be participating in the event this weekend. And I just wanted to talk about Angel Reese because we've talked about her before. And there's been times, Bree already laughing, there's been times where we've agreed to disagree. But this is actually in a positive light. She's impressed me this season. For this to be her second season, she's really stepped it up. Have you seen her in the limelight at all, Bree?
I've seen clips. I've only seen clips. It's always the controversial clips of her getting into it with somebody, right? I think the last time we talked about the braid pool or whatever, and her getting into it. And then Chris and I talked about it, that she made the cover of the WNBA like 2K cover. So that was like a big thing for her. Which I was asking Chris, how long have they had their own video game?
I don't think it's their own video game. And again, shame on me if they do have it. I think it's like a spinoff to like one of the NBA games.
So is this the first year, the second year? Because I don't recall this ever being like announced last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might just be it actually might be the first or second year. I'm not 100%
Chris
sure.
was like, this is something new. Something he was like, I don't recall, like this has to be like a first year or 2 year thing. And he's like, because I don't recall them ever. And I was like, I didn't see anything else on it, but congratulations to her, because it was really only going to come down to two people, her or Caitlin Clark. So
right. No, Asia could have been on it too,
true.
But I feel like she is in her own lane. She's grown. She minds her business. She's with an NBA player. She's in Vegas. You really don't ever hear anything about her.
Speaking of NBA players, Klay Thompson dating Meg Thee Stallion.
How you feel about that?
I just kind of pictured him as like a really quiet, shy kind of guy. Like you really don't hear too much about him. So it's definitely giving opposites attract.
Yeah. I don't know why he remind me of John B. the singer so much.
People always teased me with Cameron. Like his comparison was always Blake Griffin or Klay Thompson. Like I always think that with Cameron as my son. So I always knew who he was, but he just is like this, like kind of, just mellowish kind of person. So, interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. Considering, like Meg Thee Stallion, just her past, who she's dating, all the files that came out when they were in trial of who she's talked to and her history. But Hollywood.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know, like, how did they meet? I mean, she's tall, so I mean, and he's tall too. So if it continues, they'd have some tall babies. But yeah, that was not on my bingo card for the NBA. Like I said, the NBA, you don't know what you're gonna get with the NBA. It's been rumors. I've been seeing rumors about LeBron James possibly getting traded. I'm like, Lord, if that happens, I honestly don't even think he's gonna come back. But
I
yeah,
don't see him walking away and giving us like a season ender like that. He's gonna go out in some form of style. I do definitely see him coming back, but I think he might be open to a trade. I think he got what he wanted. He wanted his son to be in the NBA. Plus, he wanted his son to play with him. I think he's fine to try to do like this last destiny run of like winning another championship and having this. I think I could see him doing that maybe one time, and that'd be like a clutch. The whole season
yeah,
goes well, kind of thing. But yeah, he on his way out though. We've been saying that it was gonna be last year, this year that was gonna be it.
do you
Which I
see him in
still think
LA?
LeBron, if he just happened to come across, every city they should do a ceremony, like every game, like do like a whole like retiring of the jersey, give you your own little grand out coming out, and just end it with a bang. Yeah,
Yeah,
his little farewell, LeBron farewell. I'm just saying, if you need somebody to coordinate it for you, I'll take some tickets.
right. Because I know when to this day I remember Kobe, rest in peace. I remember watching Kobe's last game. I was at a it's this place called Gators in Dallas in Deep Ellum. I was at that bar just like watching, eyes glued to the TV, watching it play. Everybody was, because it was like, damn, like this Kobe last game. So when it is LeBron's time, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be memorable. But do you think he's gonna still be in LA?
I think he would hope to still be in LA, but I don't think he's gonna be mad if he's not in LA. I don't think we're gonna get that whole like he's pissed off kind of thing, because I think he knows he's on his way out. You send me somewhere else, it's gonna be a 1-year contract. That's it.
Sure.
He ain't doing no 2, 3, 4 years. He's done.
1 year, 1 year. Let's just hope he make it 1 year. But going back to the WNBA. So yeah, you mentioned Angel Reese being on the cover of the video game. I'm not sure. Like we'll have to add some comments or something to clarify it, y'all. But the thing that kind of struck me was Shaquille O'Neal, because Angels with Reebok. Shaquille is the president of Reebok.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Shaquille had announced, or he had came out and said, like, he was saying that, he was talking to RG3, and he was telling him to basically keep Angel Reese's name out your mouth, because he had retweeted this picture. And we'll make sure to add the picture in there. But to me, I'm just like, why did she get all this hate? Or like, why does this man keep coming for her? It's really sad, because as Black women, we're already outnumbered when it comes to in education, in sports. Like, we're always looked at as like the bad guy. So to have another Black man, basically saying something negative about her, I just didn't like it. It was very disheartening to hear. But was nice to see, Shaq defending her, because, like he said, that's
Mm-hmm.
that's his girl. She's bringing in a lot of money. I remember when it's a documentary on Netflix. I remember when he signed her to Reebok when she was still at LSU. So she already had a shoe deal before she got into the WNBA. But that was my only thing. I'm just glad that Shaq came to her defense, because she don't, like you said, Bree, this year you've seen her be in the spotlight for like things that's happened during the game.
Mm-hmm.
But last year when we had Camille on, we were seeing her because of tweets.
Right.
Remember, she was like, I don't know how much my rent is. Like, it was just other stuff that was causing her to be
Yeah.
that was causing her to be in the limelight. But now it's like, okay, you obviously, what I've seen, she's been working on her game. She's averaging, I think, maybe 10, 15, if not, she had 20 last night when I was or the night before when I was watching. But she's worked on her game. She's still rebounding. I've just seen an improvement from year one to year two from her. Now versus Caitlin Clark, she's going through some injuries right now, which it comes with the game.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, at the end of the day, everybody want to stay
Also, don't
healthy.
make it easy on her because it seems like everybody tries to come for when she's playing. It almost looks intentional at times. They trying to injure the poor girl, which it's not right. But going back to what you were talking about, so we didn't mention the picture that was unfortunately reposted. We don't know the source of who got this started. It's just been circulating the internet. Is Angel Reese on the cover of the WNBA 2K, and she is descripted, or it is a graphic of her as a monkey. Mm-hmm. Y'all already know the past history. The clown face, or the clown face, black face as we call it, with the red lipstick and monkeys, is something that has been associated to make African Americans and Black people look bad. Okay, it's racism. Right. Long history of racism. That's just how we've been depicted when they want to just kind of go overboard with it. From what I read, RG3 did retweet and repost the image. In doing so, he did like this two-headed kind of conversation where he's like, you guys shouldn't attack her. I don't stand for racism. We're not going to do this. That's kind of where I draw the line. But then he goes on to talk about Angel Reese kind of in a negative aspect of like, right. Someone giving him insight from her friend group that she really does have an issue with Caitlin Clark. And, because of that, he's had a backwards and forwards with somebody from her family and her, and it's led to his family receiving death threats and his kids receiving death threats and being talked about. So it's kind of like, well, what are you doing? Right. Are you defending her? Or are you coming on her to be like, all right, let me get the conversation started. I'm defending her, but let me tell you also about her. And so it created a whole issue where Shaq got involved. Clark made a comment. And looking at his track record, it almost seems like he uses Angel Reese as clickbait. It's to drive a conversation, and it's kind of like, well, when do you stop? Right. I will say this, and I have talked about this on another podcast, is sometimes, unfortunately, because if you pull up who RG3 is married to, he's not married to a Black woman. Okay, it's no secret. He is a blended family. Sometimes people, and unfortunately so, do not know how to remain pro-Black, do not know how to defend their community when they're blended. They don't. They always feel like, I got to choose a side, or I got to play defense because I don't want to upset what's going on over here. And you have to be very careful of that. And unfortunately, the only way to come out of that is you really have to be true to yourself. Okay. And we talked about that even when we talked about Patrick Mahomes a while back, when the situation happened with his wife and the chicken conversation. Those are very important conversations that you got to have when you're dating outside of your race. You got to talk about it. You really got to talk about it. You really, gotta know where you stand and be honest with yourself. Can you handle that pressure when you gotta stand your ground on your own? Can you do it, or are you gonna just do stuff to appease another party?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's the biggest thing that I took away from it too, was like, okay, so are you defending, like, on one end you're defending her, you're saying it's not right, but then you're saying that she can't control her fan base. That's one thing I do know. You can, child, you can't.
Girl, you're not saying Beyonce and Nicki Minaj fan base, because
you cannot control. And it's funny, it's not funny, but my husband and I was talking about this the other day. When did people get just so bold on the internet to just say anything, to attack? I remember I think he commented it on something. This woman went and found me and tagged me in something, and then he just ended up deleting the comment. But I'm like, when did people get so bold and start investigating and just doing their research and think it's okay to say?
You will not have your job. How many times do you see people say something online and then they go and they report it to the job and they don't have a job anymore because now you sitting in HR having to you know, you got to be careful. It happens. It happens quite often, but
Yeah.
social
So
media put a lot of batteries in a lot of people's back.
yeah.
Fully charged.
But at the end of the day, RG3, I just hope, he can just take it. Just seems like it's personal. I feel like when I mention Angel Reese, I don't have to mention Caitlin Clark. They are, I guess, because I know basketball, or I just know like it's two totally different. Like, why are we still even talking about this? They played that championship game in the NCAA so long ago. I think it was like 2 or 3 years. Like, let it go. They've been rivals. It's okay to have a rival. Kobe had a rival. Shaq had a rival.
Well,
Like, people.
his actual own profession was cut short. He was injury prone anyway. Okay, let's just keep it honest. I mean, his career from the gate was just, as soon as he crossed over to professional, it didn't go nowhere. It flatlined real quick. I honestly think somebody that is in his group, that is maybe a mentor to him, or somebody to his caliber, like Shaq or somebody, really just needs to pull him to the side. It don't need to be no social media. It don't need to be no tweet. Like, really have a background conversation. And maybe Clark would be an amazing person to be like, hey, bro, let's just go to dinner and let's talk. Like,
well, Ryan Clark tried. They had a little beef. If anything, I don't even know who could. I'm trying to think. I feel like just because
it's always somebody that can humble somebody. And I don't know who his humbleness needs to come from. And hell, sometimes it may just need to come from home. Maybe his wife just needs to tell him stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. No, seriously though.
Day, he has to understand he has children.
Yeah,
and his children may one day be in the limelight. They may go off to play sports. He has to then understand he still has brown babies, African American babies. They're gonna one day hit these same thresholds of racism and stigmatism and somebody attacking them, and then he's gonna one day have to sit on the fact that he did that to somebody else.
Yeah, and like you said, like we were talking about earlier, once it's on the internet, it's on the internet.
Yeah, there's
I was talking to one of my friends about that. They were like, I think I want to get into podcasts, and I said, but they're like, I don't want to share all my business. I said, well, that's the good thing about it. You're in control of what you share. I said, I'm the same way. I said, Bree the same way. We share what we need to share. when that record button ain't on, when we're recording, or when we meet up, we talking. But once it come live, that's it. We don't. It's some things we choose to share, we choose not to share. But so yeah, he just needs to be mindful of that. But again, I'm glad Ryan Clark, Shaq, you're not going to keep disrespecting that Black queen. I said,
he
gonna have for that.
And it's sad because you can see the one side. He doesn't really attack anybody else to the caliber that he does. And so I think he just needs a reality check, a dear mama check, a wife check, or a mentor check to just say, hey, you need to fall back because this is not a good look. And, just educate yourself. And maybe one day they'll come around full circle. We never know how the cards may turn. Well, maybe I don't foresee it, but just maybe where the clouds is nice and fluffy, him and Angel Reese to have a behind the door conversation and just dead this whole situation.
Yeah, because like you said, Shaq don't bother nobody.
He don't.
I was watching that documentary. I said,
we have met that man in real life. Tanisha, and he's the big guy. He's not. Yeah. I'm 5'9", and I'm looking up to him like this. And I'll never forget, we took the picture. He put his hand on my shoulder, and his hand is literally covering my entire shoulder. We'll have to probably add that picture in there. But I wouldn't want to run up on Shaq.
Yeah. Look, what'd you say? Okay. But he's a big kid at heart. Like on the Netflix show, he's a great boss. He's like, I'm not, he don't ever want to be called a boss. And I was like, that takes a lot because I've worked with some
really
leaders.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, he was really, really nice. He's a very down to earth person. And I've heard that from several people that have met him. I've never heard anything bad about him. Same thing when you think about the Spurs. I've never heard anything bad about David Robinson,
Oh yeah.
Tim Duncan. Like, they're really, really sweet. Now, you know, I got my story on one of them.
Right.
Rude as hell. But
All right, so that concludes our little sports segment for today. Let's go ahead and transition to Health Vision Month or Healthy Vision Month. So, Bree, you said July is for Healthy Vision Month.
so actually the month the month of July is National Eye or National Healthy Vision Month. And I don't
Okay.
really think honestly it's something that we talk about that often. I don't think it's something that we really care about until our eyes are affected and we actually have blurry vision. Because just think about it. Growing up, your parents might have taken you to an eye exam once a year. They might not have taken you at all. Just depending on the dynamics of how you grew up. So we just wanted to bring awareness to that. And so starting off, typically you should be getting an eye exam if you're noticing changes, and if your doctor tells you they may want to see you once a year, but the average person can go like every 2 years, right? With
Hmm.
getting their vision checked. However, there are some things that are complete warning signs that you need to go and see someone a lot more sooner than that, almost like right away. And that's going to be you're starting to have blurred vision, you have sudden vision loss in one eye, flashes of light or floaters, eye pain can be a big one, frequent headaches, you're squinting, especially at night. A lot of people will say at night they see halos where the light seems to be a lot more brighter when the headlights and stuff are coming towards them. Double vision, and then you may hear people often refer to as what we call dry eyes. So it's just dry, itchy, they're not getting any relief from drops, which drops should give you relief, but you shouldn't be dependent on drops every day. Or watery
Right.
eyes. Those are going to be things you want to follow up on and find out what is the root cause to it. Sometimes it's not something traumatic in life, ending, and sometimes it could be a lot more serious. Things that we grew up often hearing, the top two I think that we may all kind of know about, especially when we think about our elderly population, is glaucoma and
Yep.
cataracts. Okay. Glaucoma deals with the pressure behind the eyes. Cataracts deals with almost like this um they have to remove it, but it's almost like a gloss. It's not a glossy, but it's like a fuzziness that builds up over the eye, and they wind up having to do surgery to remove it. And
Hmm.
you may hear it in your elderly population where your grandma or grandpa had to go have cataract removal. Okay, pretty like in and out clinic, not too super invasive. They go in same day, they're out the same day. However, you do have stuff that is a little bit more concerning, and that's going to be especially with people that are diabetic. People don't know when you are diabetic and you are not treating your diabetes appropriately, or if it's very aggressive, it can cause vision loss. And
Okay.
one way to probably diagnose that you are diabetic is you go to the eye doctor and they're like, let's do some further testing because you are having this sudden loss, you are having these issues, and then follow up comes back that your A1C is through the roof. Um, Age related muscular degeneration, that is just behind the eye, things are starting to degenerate. It's in its name, it's starting to break down, so that's another one. And then you have like retinal detachment, eye injuries, either from you're outside and God forbid this random piece of metal comes flying out of nowhere and hits you in the eye. Okay, those are things that they got to be corrected.
Right.
So, with that being said, with children, from what I found, they want a child at around the first exam to be around the age of 6 months, at 3, and then when they're 2 years old, somewhere around that time for them to get their eyes checked. Between 18 to 39 every 2 years, 40 to 64 every 1 to 2 years, because remember, those are your age ranges where you're going to possibly start seeing that cataracts and stuff, and then possible glaucoma, early signs of that. And then 65 and older, they would like for you to get checked once a year for the same reasons. And then, when you're 65, a lot of times your vision has changed. You have a harder time seeing at night.
Yeah.
Things
You
that
said,
hmm?
what age did you say you're supposed to, as a kid, you're supposed to get your first eye exam?
6 months.
Okay.
And honestly, so I can attest to that because when I would take Casey and Carter, and I got 4 kids, y'all, they have this neat little tool now. They'll turn off the lights in the room, and it's a thing that flashes, and they look at it, and they're able to capture them looking into it. So a 6-month-old can't tell you, I see 2, I see 3. They're not tracing, but they have machines and stuff that can kind of give them, a little bit of an understanding if there is something possibly going on with the eyes or behind the eyes. Because, babies are born with stuff that sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, they don't catch it in the womb. They don't catch it in the 2 days you at the hospital. They just don't. And so that's why it's very important to do your follow-ups with the doctor. Now, I know in some cases people may think, okay, well, I don't want to wear glasses. My vision's changing. What other things can I do? There's contacts. I'm blind as a bat, y'all. I wear contacts 24/7. I sometimes will put my glasses on to more so give my eyes a break from wearing contacts to kind of just reset. But then there's you can go and have LASIK done.
That was me. That was the best money I spent. Was getting LASIK.
Yeah,
that was the best money I spent.
My ex-husband had that done by the military when it was kind of like first rolling out, and he scared me enough not to have it done.
Really, I went to doctor. I think it's either Dr. Enrique or Manrique in San Antonio over there by La Cantera. 5 seconds each eye. Got off that table and could look at the clock. Was the best money I spent.
Yeah, he had his was like same day. I remember us coming home. He responded really well that first day. Like first day, he was like, "Oh, I'm good." Maybe that second day, I don't know what happened. That pain kicked in, and I remember him like just not. He didn't want the lights on. He just was pretty much like in the like dark. Like it became super sensitive for him. And I'm like, man, which they say men don't take pain the same way as women do. But I seen that pain break him down, and I said, my grandma always said, eyes, brain, and back. Better be something really going on for me to lay on the table and get them touched. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pop my contacts in and keep it pushing. But I've had more people say, even my neighbor, she's had like all of y'all have had wonderful stories about it, but just that one scared me enough.
Yeah, that's true. That was the best money I spent. No, but I will say if you know, if you had it, the recovery is not. It really just depends on your vision. So it's not just you get the procedure, you get off the table, you can see that's it. No, it is a recovery. I think it took me 4 to 6 months to recover. And you're very sensitive to light, but those little refresh drops, shoot, now I don't have to pay for eye insurance. I could not wait to not have to sign up for that benefit.
I didn't even think of that. Well, you do pay, you get to save on eye insurance. Well, for now, because, you still got, other little people.
Oh, yeah, for now. Yeah. No, it was just because if you knew me and if my parents know, I'm blind as a bat. I've been wearing glasses since. That's why I asked you, what age was you supposed to get checked? Because I feel like
I started in middle school, and I started in middle school, and I was one of those, I like to sit in the back of the classroom, and I started to struggle a lot. And so that was like the first warning sign. But back then we didn't have like, if they'd had LASIK, it wasn't something that they was advertising. It might have been like, still on the Kardashian level. It hadn't made its way to us middle class folks, and my parents weren't paying for it anyway. And then my mom was like, "You gonna get these glasses? Like, you in middle school? I'm not paying for no contacts. Like, absolutely not." So I hated wearing my glasses. I hated them. I would just wear them in class, and I would be blind as the back in the hallway. I would slide them back off. Same thing. High school, I kind of just like I managed. I just was sitting in front of the classroom. If there was something I needed to do, I managed. And, when I took my driver's test, I obviously had to have them, and it's on my driver's license that I wear glasses. But, no.
Dang. Yeah, no, as y'all can see, I always have on glasses, but they're just some cute little glasses I wear. But yeah, I missed wearing glasses, so that's why I wear glasses now.
You know,
But
I can't find any that are just like, oh, I love these for my face. Like everybody's doing the cat eye and the Harry Potter rounds, and I'm like, uh,
yeah, I have a couple of them. Well, y'all see, I'm always wearing, but these
yeah,
are my
yours look good. I be in there like, I don't know, I'm not putting these on.
oh, they're mine from Amazon. They just I think it's like a point five, just because of working from home. I'm staring at the computer all day with spreadsheets and stuff. So I do appreciate the little extra
Which you
little
brought
bump.
up a good point. So, for those of y'all that get a lot of screen time, you're supposed to do the 20-20 rule. So 20 seconds of taking and looking away from the computer, looking away from the computer. And it's supposed to be like, trying to look long distance and then going back to the screen. So just try to follow the 20-20 rule that you're giving yourselves breaks of being on the computer because it does damage your eyes. Even I didn't know until Chris had an incident working outside and that just the sun
Yes.
is very
Yep.
damaging to the eyes too. Yeah.
hmm Yeah. So just make sure y'all are taking care of yourself. You know, Bree, she's always gonna bring y'all the health for this month. So just make sure y'all are taking care of yourself, and then just make sure you're getting your eyes checked too. Don't wait until you're squinting or it's nighttime and you just playing. I think I can see. No, go.
Yeah. Don't be
It's
playing with other
time.
people's lives. Go on and get them eyes checked.
Right. Talking about I think I can see. No, go get your eyes checked.
We all got that one family member that just won't go.
Yeah, everybody do. And it's not, no shade, but it's always a man. Need that little extra push. You ain't
Hmm.
got your eyes checked since you've been in high school. When you got your physical. Um, but before we conclude our episode, we did want to bring you some exciting news. So we will be starting two new segments. So next episode, we are probably going to be recorded, obviously in August, but hopefully that could be a live episode, maybe, or we can try to get because we've been knocking these remote ones out, but it is time for me and Bree to kind of be in the same place and
Yeah.
bring on a guest too. We haven't had on a guest in a long time, but we do want to announce that we are going to have two new segments. The first segment is going to be called Entrepreneur Spotlight by the Sistahs. So what we're going to do is we are just going to randomly choose an entrepreneur because everybody got to hustle these days, and I'm proud of you for it. But we will just randomly shout out that business. It'll be one male and one female. We'll make sure to put either their Instagram or their business link in the comments for y'all to kind of look up on your own, and then we'll just give you like a little background about it. Um, Hopefully maybe we can DM them and say, hey, could you record like a short video? We can add them in it, or we can just have them kind of reference our podcast. And then that's how everything is these days. It's who you know, tell a friend, share a friend. So we're just trying to continue to grow and build. But yeah, we're gonna have the entrepreneur spotlight by the Sistahs. So it'll be one male, one female entrepreneurship, and we're just gonna continue to do that every episode moving forward. And then Bree, you want to go ahead and talk about your segment?
Yeah, so we have come up with the concept of what we call it's Dear Sisters. So you guys will have the opportunity, and you might have already seen it go out on our TikTok, on Instagram, my personal Facebook page. Just a little bit of insight on that. It's if you're going through a journey, if it's a life lesson you're going through, if it's something that you want to know from us, this is just our way of being able to communicate back with our fans and our followers,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of give back to the community in that sense of you guys being able to connect with us. So it's called Dear Sisters. You guys can email us on that, and we hope to just choose one per segment and read it to y'all and give y'all our feedback. And so, yeah, it's just a way for y'all to be able to connect to us and give a little bit of spotlight on what y'all have going on, because y'all have lives and stuff too, and we're always learning stuff from y'all and receiving feedback, and so we're just trying to change things up a little bit.
Yeah, and like Bree had brought to my attention because she was like, "Yeah, we got kind of like a little male following." I said, "Oh, don't try us." I thought, Sisters with a Purpose. It was more for like us, but I was like, "Okay, we got some guys that are tuning in, some men." So yeah, men, if you have something you want to share, or maybe it's a question you always wanted to ask, you can remain anonymous. We don't have to disclose your information.
Absolutely.
But if you ever just wanted kind of like a sister's perspective or a female's perspective, that's what we're here for. We're not going to always have the right answers, but we can give you some perspective. That's one thing we can do. We going to give you our perspective. Now, will the internet of people agree with it? Who knows? Because everybody, you can agree to disagree. It's totally fine. All right, so that does conclude our episode. Coming soon, look for those two new segments. Again,
Mhm.
please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're always gonna get a little bit of sports from me, and then you're always gonna get some health from Bree. And that wraps up our episode. Till next time. Bye.
Yeah.